We are getting the jobless claims data from the U.S. government, despite the government shutdown. And senior economics reporter Steve Leisman joins us with the data and a look at what all the alternative job numbers are telling us, and a very firm conclusion about the state of the labor market we're going to get from Steve, I'm told.
Thanks for setting me up there, Joe.
Yep.
That's not going to happen. I'll do the best I can. First, let me give you the jobless claims data. It's gathered individually from the states, seasonally adjusted by Haver Analytics, our data provider, rising by 10,000 on the week. Still a modest 229. You can see that in the next chart. They're rising. It's the top of the range where they've been the past several months, but not really through the roof. Though continuing claims, that keeps edging higher together with that surge in mass layoffs that we reported yesterday from Challenger. Well, that suggests maybe some further weakening ahead that bears watching. Meanwhile, the separate count of continuing claims by federal workers, that's worth watching here. It continues to surge, now topping 23,000. That's the highest since 2019, reflecting perhaps some impact of the shutdown. Also, the beginning of the wave of laid-off federal workers who would now be eligible for benefits, applying for those benefits. We do have a slew of alternative jobs reports giving an impression of a labor market, I would say, cooling but not crashing. None of the indicators are giving runaway signals either way. Take a look at the signs of strength or stability. The ADP preliminary data we gave you a week ago, that's 14,000 average for weekly job gains. And then the national report was up from minus 29,000 now to 42. We brought you yesterday the Chicago Fed's estimate of the unemployment rate, pretty much unchanged around 4.3%. And there's that initial claims. Now let's look at the signs of weakness. Challenger job cuts report got to top that list at gaining 153,000. Continuing claims edging higher towards the top of the range there. The Indeed jobs posting above the standard of 100, but has been ticking down continuously. And then the ISM manufacturing and service employment indices, both of those had ticked up on the week, but they remain below 50. So subjectively, I put them into the weakness categories. We're putting all this together, folks, and you can see. Oh, one more thing we have. You can read our coverage at a new site that we created, CNBC.com. /alt data. The Fed looking at all this data likely has more of it as well. But what's missing is good alt data on prices. We'll have some of that we can roll out next week, Joe.
Maybe. Well, that's good, Steve. And I think this is it's gonna happen soon. I think, don't you? I think we'll be back on track pretty soon. But then, I just don't know how to handicap where I can argue in a debate either side. Job market's fine. Job market's not so fine.
I mean, that's what the alternative data is telling us. I'll tell you, Joe, do you know how you get a feel for something beyond, say, what the data say? You and I have both been doing this for, I don't know, more decades than we want to admit. When a number comes in and it's up or down or well below what you think it ought to be, you get a feel for it being out of sorts. We just don't have a feel for how this data reacts or how to react to it in real time. The market seemed to react yesterday to the Challenger data, and I'm watching how the market reacts to it. I will say this, Joe, if they can get their act together and get back to work in the next, say, 5 or 6 days, they can get that November employment report out. I was looking at how they did it in 2013, and they came out and they did it later with a bunch of asterisks, but they were able to get the 2013 data out. It's pretty much similar timing. They were able to get it together with, I think, with a 1-week delay. So if they can get their act together, hey, why don't we have some benefactor come in and pay for the BLS report like they did on the military payment?
The military. There's no way, Steve, that all of a sudden things move so quickly that we wake up and it's a 5% unemployment rate. Is there?
I hope not. I really hope that this data is giving us a feel. We gave you yesterday, for example, the Chicago unemployment rate estimate. And what they said is that there's a 41% probability we're at 4.3% and some lower probability that it's higher by 0.2 or 0.3. I think what you're saying is a good conclusion, Joe, that it's unlikely that there is a major swing going on in the jobs report that we're not picking up in this alternative data. ADP is not spot on month to month, but over a series of months, it does tell us which way it's going. It would be very unusual. Actually, Austin Goolsbee said this yesterday. And that's a really good question, Joe. Austin Goolsbee said this yesterday, that it's unlikely you have a crash in the job market with these claims in the range they're in right now. So that's probably telling us that it's lackluster, it's cooling, but not crashing.
Right. There's some scary layoff data, though, right? Right, Steve? And the people were running with that, people that want the economy to be bad were saying, look, this is the worst since what year? That number of, what was it, the Challenger report?
Well, the worst October since 2003. But take that a little bit with a grain of salt. I'll tell you why. Remember, a layoff announcement is not necessarily a layoff. Companies can affect these layoffs through attrition and other methods, and it also takes place over time. There's a lot of restructuring going on in the tech business. And a lot of right-sizing going on from overhiring and maybe even some labor hoarding from the pandemic. I'm not sure that it is a cyclical sign of real weakness going on right now. Some of it may be. Let's see if it continues in the month of November.